What does transformation healing mean to you? What challenging have you overcome in your life that transformed who you are today? Good morning, everyone, or good evening in somewhere. It is Tuesday. Welcome to our Transformation Healing Podcast. I'm your host, Riya Wang, a certified transformation healing coach, a spiritual mentor. I help my clients through transformation healing and spiritual awakening to connect with the unique power, transcend the limitation, bring back their confidence, passion, joy, and a clear vision of the best self. I have traveled around the world to learn and share how healing transformed our lives. In this podcast show, I have invited my guests from all over the world that here to share the inspiration stories, wisdom, knowledge with all of you that can help you to implement these wonderful tools into your daily life. I'm so excited to introduce all of you today, my wonderful guest, Deyna. Did I say your name right, Deyna? Welcome to our podcast.
Yes, that is correct. Thank you.
Yes, I always have to make sure if I said the name correct. Before Deyna, I let Deyna share a story. I introduce a little bit Deyna's information. Deyna is a licensed acupuncturist and a human potential athlete. How to say that word, Deyna? You help me with? You said study human potential.
Oh, to help maximize human potential.
I see.
Yeah.
She helps people focus on burning out, recovering, energy, healing, and individual inner balance right? So Deyna is a certified acupuncturist. And Deyna, tell us where you're from and where you live, where you help the people.
So right now I'm in San Diego, California. This is my hometown. I was actually born here. And so, yeah, I have a practice down in central San Diego. It's where I started and have the intention to expand the northern reaches of the county, which is where I live. I live about 30 miles north of my actual acupuncture practice. So I'm looking to expand in the next year or two.
That's wonderful. I will go visit San Diego, I think next month.
Ah,
If I can see you in person in there, will be wonderful.
Yeah, for sure.
So this podcast, usually my guests come from all different places. I ask where they come from. We just come here to share some stories. Tell us a little bit how do you start? Why you into the acupuncturist?
Yeah, it's really interesting because if you were to ask me that question 15 years ago, before I became an acupuncturist, you were like, Deyna, what do you think you're going to be doing with your life? Something in health and wellness probably would not have been my answer. My first career, I worked in the wine industry. So I was a level 3 sommelier and I worked for a small group of restaurants in San Diego. That was part of my dad's business. And I thought that was my life's path, but that was my first experience with severe burnout. And because of that, what I experienced during that period, just high levels of anxiety, panic attacks, depression, it led me to receive acupuncture. And what's funny is I didn't even make the appointment for myself. My partner at the time worked for an integrative health center and she made an appointment for me and she was like, okay, you're going, you have to try this. So I did. And what's interesting is I didn't really realize what acupuncture had done for me until probably like a year ago. Because between that first acupuncture appointment and my next one, there was like several years in between. But what I recognize is after that first treatment, it like opened up like this gate toward wellness in small incremental steps, but I started to take more and more steps toward an optimal lifestyle, right? So I ended up leaving the restaurant business. I learned meditation. I learned transcendental meditation. And then I finally realized, like, maybe I should give acupuncture a go now that I'm leaving the restaurant industry. And I realized that even though I love wine, wine doesn't love me. I don't do
That
well.
is a huge shift from
It's
the
me.
one then to acupuncturist.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yes.
Yeah, it was a major shift. There's really not much connection that I can think of. Um, but yeah, so I think why I am doing what I'm doing now in the acupuncture field, which at this point I've kind of stepped away from pathology, and my focus really is on human performance and maximizing potential for people. But more importantly, reminding people to bring themselves along for the process. Because I think, especially in this society, most of us want to achieve great things, right? We have these far reaching goals, but we often don't align our personal values with that. And we're playing by somebody else's rule book. So we end up crashing and burning, which I think is pretty prevalent in this society. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I just think you said is absolutely right. Especially I live in Silicon Valley. You know how hard is anxiety, stress people feel in this environment. Of course, here a lot of people they living in really open mind and looking for all different type of healings. I think a natural healing, especially acupuncturist, is all well knows how can help reduce anxiety, stress, that part work. It's
Yeah.
wonderful what you do.
Thank you.
So wonderful you switched then from the wine tasting to the acupuncturist.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask also, is there is some challenging when you're doing that with the clients when we talk about how to reduce stress, anxiety? So what is the big challenging for people to help for you to help people reduce that?
To reduce the stress and anxiety.
Mhm.
Well, there's a difference because you can certainly provide symptom relief for people with acupuncture, right? But we know, those of us who continue to grow in the health and wellness field, that symptom relief just buys people time. You really have to get to the root of what is actually causing the stress and anxiety. For the most part, I think the deepest root for all of us in this point in human history is really being out of alignment with who we truly are. And once we're knocked out of alignment with that, that's when we start to see things go downhill, when we start to experience the physical, emotional, mental effects of that. And so for me, I think the biggest challenge is getting people from that superficial surface layer of I need symptom relief from my anxiety to bringing them a little bit deeper into perhaps what might be the reason for that. It doesn't have to necessarily be a bad thing, right? These things that happen to us that we experience are mostly signals, right? And there's signals that are trying to get us back in alignment with who we are and our authentic purpose. So really trying to go from that to that deeper aspect can sometimes be challenging, and that's what I'm really working on right now.
That's absolutely, I think, who we are. When you lost the who we are, we basically on outside achievement, outside identity, then that's also confusing.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right. So
So, what is it? Tell us a little bit about your own story. How do you find out who you are, then to identify who you are today that you want to be?
yeah, I mean, it's been an interesting journey for sure, because I think I spent a pretty significant portion of my life not accepting who I am. And I recognize that, I like to work with people on maximizing potential because that's who I am. If I take something on, I'm like at 100 right away. Like I obsess over it and I try to master it as quickly as possible. But I also burn out quite a bit, probably more frequently than I'd like to admit. Um, but I think probably in the last year, after well, no, I would say after the shutdown with COVID, I started to do these treatments on myself because I couldn't see an acupuncturist because everybody was closed. And it really got me back in line, I think, with who I am and what I want to contribute to the field. Right. And so I started to accept myself in a very natural state. When I was in my wine days, right, that I made a career out of that because I thought that I needed alcohol to help me connect with others, to be
Mm.
normal, right? Because I always thought that there was something wrong with me because I'm naturally I'm introverted and I had suffered from social anxiety for a long time. And wine kind of gave me that liquid courage to be more outgoing and all the things that it can do for you. Have fun.
The little buzz that
Yeah,
have fun, then don't care that much anymore, huh?
exactly. Yeah, I wanted to, but that wasn't. I don't think that was my life's path. I think the universe was like, you need to learn how to connect with people on a natural scale.
Mm.
And so that's where I'm at now, that realization, accepting who I am, realizing that I have everything already that I need to succeed on my own terms, in my own way, and that I don't have to rely on substances or alcohol or even different therapies to change me. I don't need to change. I can transform, right? But I am who I need to be. And I think falling in love with that has really been the most transformational for me. And it's fairly recent too. So,
That
yeah.
is beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I think, yes, when we understand or when we accept who we are, that reason with the love, with that compassion, acceptance, that's brought more confidence. I say even confidence, right? We don't have to pretend who we are. If you pretend who you are, sometimes you get confused. Then you have the fear, brought a lot of fear if they think I'm not that. But you really accept who you are and you start love yourself. That's complete change your life around you. But here's the question with you is, what does that relate with who you are and to acupuncturist? When people come to you, say, "Hey, Deyna, I have this, I'm burning out in my work. I feel all of this stress. So, is the acupuncture can help me? So how do I start? Is that you tell them you have to start to understand who you are, or you start with put the needle on them? So that is the question.
Yeah, that's a really good question because it depends on where the person is at, right? Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, where you can start. Some people really just need to start at that surface layer of, I need energy, I need stress relief, and that's totally fine. We have to be in a certain state and we have to have a certain amount of energy to really think more broadly about our circumstance and our situation. So sometimes, yeah, you do have to just start with the needles, right? But the intention is to go a little deeper, right? And to really get the true root of it. I am doing very recently incorporating coaching to go along with it to kind of help develop programs that can benefit people off the treatment table. So again, it really depends mostly on where somebody's at when they come in, and then being able to understand and empathize with them and guide them along the way, not fix them. I've let that go. I don't fix people, right? What we do is we want to empower people to be the best versions of themselves and to live their lives fully. So
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. I think we said you can lead the house to the water. You cannot make the drink, right? You help them. You not say you just fix them.
Mm.
I think that is wonderful what you do, help more people. Then here is this in the process of your study of you help the people. What is more inspiration story in with you and the clients? Do you have a story you can share with us?
Oh, in particular with the client, or let me think here.
That's related with you. Like we said, I always think who we are. Like I become a transformation healing coach because I needed to heal myself. Then when I go through my journey, I can share with other people how I go through that is be a true self, right? Then you are same thing. You are, I think, amazing. You're not just doing acupuncture, doing the physical health. You also help them shift the mindset, help them to identify, help them to raise more awareness who they are. Is any inspiration stories you can share between you and your clients here with us today?
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe not one particular instance, but kind of like a amalgamation of some of the most profound things that I've seen with treatment for both myself and for people is when they do get to that deeper aspect of the why behind their condition, right? And when I first started my career, I worked for a busy acupuncture clinic where I saw 90% of my roster were work comp patients. So these were orthopedic injuries that were work related. And I would say 90% of those people were completely burnt out. So the ones who really progressed the most were the ones that didn't just get symptom relief. That was sort of insignificant at this point. But they came to this realization that what they were doing, whether it was with their work or their lives, what they were doing wasn't their true path. And they had like this aha moment. And I think if we're going to practice acupuncture on the deepest level, that's something that we have to hold on to. And how can that be significant in our rapidly changing tech-driven times that we are in and going to continue to be in more progressively in the future? So I think that to me is what really inspires the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing and what I want to contribute to the field. So
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah.
So if the people who's here, so they want to start how to say, start awareness, more aware to pursue more health lifestyle. If you give the few words, then what the words will be for the people who's beginning to aware that, okay, so Deyna said things amazing, wonderful, but I'm still don't know who I am, where I can start. I feel burning out, I feel stressed, how I can start at home by myself, just small step.
Yeah, I think the most important step that will probably save you a lot of time is to take, even if you just have 5 minutes or even 60 seconds, to do this daily and to really reevaluate what your personal values are and reflecting on whether or not those values are actually significant in your life today. That's the first step. Because if we're living a life that's not in alignment with those values, we're going to continue to burn out. And that's what caused burnout in the first place. So that, I think, if you're able to do that, and then you start eating healthier, you start kind of doing all of the pillars of wellness through nutrition, movement, community, etc. If you start with that, it really will save you, I think, a lot of pain and a lot of time before you get on the right path toward the right plan, the right health plan for, which is different for everybody, I think. It's definitely an individualized thing, but
yeah, that's probably just like you said, stop, then take a few minutes, take a little bit of time, then by yourself start a reflection what you've been doing in your life. It's what is working, what is not working, and start asking yourself what type of lifestyle you want to live. Right? Is that in your life mental, spiritual, emotional? Is that have balanced or no balanced? Then start ask a question. I think I always start ask a question, raising the curiosity. That's you probably at that moment when you ask the question, who I am, what I want, maybe not come at that moment, but that will be slowly come through you. Then you start seeking. There have so many natural healings like acupuncture, meditation, all different things we talk about. When you start seeking that life start shift, just like what you said.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And you will find it. I mean, like you said, it even if it's just a seed, it will eventually flourish. And
Yeah.
it's a process. You know, there's no end, and you can't really attach yourself to anything. You just once you learn how to enjoy the process or accept the process, maybe it's not always enjoyable, but that's true healing, right? That's when you know you've been healed, I guess.
Mm.
You know?
So life is a journey. Then anything we do, even the healing, is a process of the
Mhm.
journey. When you're on the journey, it's just be more patient, more love, more compassion to yourself. Sometimes, when we lost the patience, we start criticizing ourselves. Then that's going to another path. Be patient, be love, be gentle with yourself.
Mhm.
That is beautiful. Thank you. Come to here to share all of your stories, Dina. So tell us how we can find you. How the people, I know how to find you, but when people to want to contact you to ask you help, where they can find you.
Yeah, probably my website, which is www.inneralchemysource.com. So Inner Alchemy Source is the name of my business. I'm not really that active on social media right now. I plan to be shortly, but I am mostly on Instagram. It's inner alchemy underscore source. So at inner alchemy underscore source. And that's probably the best way to find me. And you can message me through my website, and all my contact info is on there.
Thank you, Dina. Thank you for being here to share your stories and share your tips with all of us. If you are listening this podcast or watch this podcast show, would like to share your stories that can help inspire other people, then help other people to live the life more healthier, more happier, more passion. So come contact me. So come to here, share your story with all of us. Thank you, everybody. I will see you next Tuesday. Thank you, Dina.
Thank you, Riya.